So there's Ernest going live on Facebook, laughing and playing hide and seek with his crew. Just a regular game night during quarantine, you feel me? But here's the thing. While Ernest is counting to 30, somewhere in Baltimore, two men are making a decision that's about to change everything. And y'all, the cameras kept rolling through it all. You're watching Shadowed Crimes TV, where we bring true crime and domestic violence stories out of the shadows. Hit that subscribe button and join us daily as we uncover the cases that demand to be heard. Don't just watch, be part of the conversation. Now, before we get into that tragic night, let me tell you who Ernest Wilson III really was. Like, this wasn't just some random dude. This was somebody's son, somebody's friend, somebody who had dreams bigger than that warehouse job he worked during the day. Ernest was only 24, but he had this energy about him that just filled up any space he walked into. His friends? They'll tell you straight up, Ernest considered you family. He'd move mountains for you. That's just who he was, loyal to the core. But see, Ernest wasn't trying to clock in and clock out for the rest of his life. Nah, he had bigger plans. He wanted to be an entrepreneur, wanted to build something that was his. And honestly, you could see that drive in everything he did, especially on social media. This man had a gift for taking regular stuff and making it unforgettable. Like, he'd take a simple board game, Uno, Monopoly, whatever, and turn it into this whole production. Drinking games, competitions, just pure entertainment. And he'd stream it all live on Facebook. People loved watching him because Ernest didn't just play games, he created experiences. His streams weren't just about the games though. They were about bringing people together, making folks feel like they belonged somewhere. And during 2020, when everybody was isolated and scared, that connection meant everything to people. Now let's talk about Baltimore in April 2020, because you gotta understand the backdrop here. The whole city was on lockdown. I'm talking stay-at-home orders, no gatherings over 10 people, bars and clubs shut down. The streets that used to be jumping on Friday nights, dead quiet. But Ernest, he wasn't about to let that pandemic energy kill his vibe. So what does he do? He gets creative, started renting short-term spots, Airbnbs, little houses, turning them into these private party spaces. And before y'all start thinking this was some reckless behavior, let me be clear, Ernest kept these gatherings small and controlled. He wasn't posting addresses all over social media like some people do. If you wanted to come to Ernest's spot, you had to hit him up directly. Inbox me, don't just show up. That's what he'd say. He wanted people he trusted, people who understood the vibe he was trying to create. So on April 3rd, as Friday was turning into Saturday, Ernest went online with that same charm that drew people to him. Post it up. I'm having a game night tonight and tomorrow. Hit me up for details. Bring your own drinks, cause you ain't drinking all my stuff. Girls, free entry, guys. $5, cause I don't know y'all like that. See what I mean? Even his party invitations had personality. It was playful, it was smart. Just enough to cover the rental costs, just enough to keep the right energy in the room. And people always came. Why? Because Ernest's parties weren't about getting wasted or causing drama. They were about connection. In a world that felt like it was falling apart, Ernest created these little pockets of normalcy where people could laugh and forget their problems for a few hours. But here's where things get real. It seems like Ernest had been dealing with some party crashers before. The day before this incident, he posted, "They go and get left outside." like he was already having issues with people trying to force their way into his gatherings. As that Friday night rolled deeper, the game started up. Ernest's voice crackled through that Facebook live stream, and you could just feel the energy. Friends laughing, footsteps running through the house, people hiding behind couches and in closets. For those few hours, it felt like the world made sense again. You could hear it in his voice, that excitement, that pure joy of bringing people together. The music was playing, people were having a good time, and for a minute there it was like COVID didn't exist. Like the world outside those four walls wasn't scary and uncertain. But underneath all that laughter and fun, something else was building. And at 2:32 in the morning, Ernest hit that go live button one more time, not knowing he was about to broadcast the most tragic 15 minutes of his life. So check this minutes, it's 2:32 in the morning, and Ernest goes live again. The camera flickers on, and you can immediately feel that energy. Music bumping in the background, friends giggling as they're trying to find hiding spots throughout the house. Ernest's voice cuts through all the noise, playful, commanding, just having a good time. Earlier that day on the 3rd, he had asked his followers online, "We playing hide and seek at game night tonight?" And now was the time for it. What I'm about to show you is the actual 4-minute clip from when Ernest started that final live stream until the moment his life was taken. And y'all, this is hard to watch, but it's important that people understand what really happened that night.
Niggas all in my bathroom. She lucky she my man, but she got put out like the last person that threw up in my shit. I'm in the bathroom, yo. I'm cleaning up throw up. Y'all hide everywhere but here. Hold on. Yeah, I'm cleaning up throw up, so I'm ready to go out front.
Are you turning the lights back on?
I'm using the I can only use the live.
The live?
17. Don't walk this way, because you're gonna get caught. 18. 19. Thank you. Go the other way. You're making it too easy. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, because I'm tired of fucking counting. Ready or not, here I come. Lock the door so niggas don't hit the open door on me. 1, 2, 3. Who the fuck is that, Jew?
I don't know.
I'm in your face.
Get your dumb ass on the other side of this gate. Who the fuck? Dumb ass nigga. This can't be one of my friends. Hey, Pride! Pride, sit up!
Let me tell you what we just witnessed. Ernest was in the middle of counting menace 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, cause I'm tired of counting ready or not, here I come. When everything changed, he's moving through the house, looking for his friends, joking around like always. Then suddenly there's this moment of confusion. You can hear it in his voice. He's trying to figure out who these people are at his door. Who the hell is that? He says. I don't know. I'm in your face. Get your dumb behind on the other side of this gate. Ernest is clearly confused because these aren't his friends. And then chaos, gunshots, screaming. The camera drops, and just like that, silence. The live stream cuts off abruptly, leaving everyone who was watching frozen, staring at a black screen where just seconds before there was laughter and joy. A simple game of hide and seek had just become a murder scene, broadcast live to the world. at 2:45 that morning. Baltimore police got the call and rushed to that rental house on West Street. What they found was devastating. Ernest Wilson III was lying there in a pool of blood. All that energy and laughter from just minutes before now, replaced by panic and horror. The paramedics did everything they could, rushing him to the hospital, but it was too late. Ernest was pronounced dead before the sun came up. 24 years old, gone in an instant, and the whole thing caught on camera. Now imagine being his friends, who were just playing hide and seek with him. One minute they're hiding behind furniture, trying not to laugh too loud, and the next minute they're calling their families, crying, trying to process what they just witnessed. Make it make sense. The news hit Baltimore hard. This was a city already dealing with so much: the pandemic, the lockdowns, people scared and isolated, and now one of their own had been killed. And his final moments were all over the internet. In the hours after the shooting, officials started piecing together what had happened. Baltimore City Councilman Eric Costello told the media what detectives believed went down. Two armed men had entered the yard, announced a robbery, and within minutes, Ernest was dead. But here's what's crazy. This story went viral immediately. The Associated Press picked it up. Business Insider, Oxygen, The Independent. Reporters couldn't believe what they were seeing. A Facebook Live party that was supposed to be an escape from lockdown had become a live recording of a murder. Those clips from Ernest's stream started spreading everywhere. Social media, blogs, Instagram pages, everybody was sharing fragments of his final moments. Some people couldn't even watch it. It was too painful. But for others, it was this haunting reminder of how quickly life can change, how violence can just burst into the most innocent moments. The investigation kicked into high gear. Homicide detectives started following every lead they could find. They partnered with Metro Crime Stoppers, asking anyone with information to come forward. They were determined to get justice for Ernest and his family. But as the weeks turned into months, the questions started piling up. Like, was Ernest targeted specifically? Some people wondered if showing money and weed on his live streams made him a target. Did somebody see that and think, oh, this dude's got cash, let's go get him? Or was this just pure bad luck? Two men looking for trouble who happened to pick the wrong house at the wrong time. Were they even watching his live stream? Or did they just see a house party and think it was an easy score? The thing is, we still don't know. And that's the part that hurts the most. The story was everywhere, and I mean everywhere. News outlets were calling it the Facebook Live murder, the party that turned deadly. Some coverage was respectful, focusing on who Ernest was as a person. But other outlets, they sensationalized it, turned his tragedy into clickbait. For his family and friends, seeing those clips replayed over and over again was traumatizing. This wasn't just a news story, this was their loved ones' final moments, being broadcast to millions of strangers. But they also knew that the attention might help catch his killers, so they endured it. Now here's where this story gets really heartbreaking. We're sitting here almost 5 years later, and nobody, and I mean nobody, has been arrested for Ernest's murder. No charges filed, no suspects in custody. The case is still open, just sitting there like an open wound for his family and friends. Think about that for a second. This murder was literally broadcast live. There were dozens of witnesses, both in that house and watching online. The whole thing was recorded, and still, no justice. So what does that tell us? It tells us that even with all that evidence, even with the world watching, getting justice ain't guaranteed. And for Ernest's people, that's gotta hurt deeper than anything. His loved ones had to watch this tragedy play out in the most public way possible. Not only did they lose Ernest, but they had to see his final moments replayed on news stations and social media over and over again. His ex-girlfriend spoke through tears. "I loved him so much. Just imagine carrying that pain while the whole world is dissecting the worst night of your life." His friend Dean Monroe put it simply, once you were Ernest's close friend, he would do anything for you. That was his character, loyal, loving, the type of person who would drop everything to help you out. But see, that's how his people choose to remember him. Not by the violence of that night, not by those final terrifying moments, but by who he really was. The loyalty, the warmth, the way he could make anybody feel like family. And let's keep it real about Baltimore. In 2020, this city was already carrying way too much pain. The pandemic wasn't just about people getting sick. Folks were losing jobs, losing homes, losing hope, and violence, that didn't take a break just because there was a stay-at-home order. Families in Baltimore were dealing with grief from disease and from bullets, sometimes in the same neighborhoods, sometimes in the same families. Ernest's death was just another scar on a city that was already overwhelmed with loss. But his case stuck with people because of how it happened. Here was a young man who wasn't out here looking for trouble, wasn't involved in anything dangerous. He was literally just trying to bring some joy to people during one of the darkest times in recent history. Law enforcement didn't give up though. Detectives kept following leads, kept chasing down tips. They worked with Metro Crime Stoppers, put up rewards, did everything they could to get people to speak up. They knew somebody out there had information. But as months turned into years, that trail got colder and colder, and that's the reality of a lot of these cases. Time works against justice. Witnesses move away, memories fade, people get scared to talk. The longer it takes, the harder it gets. The detectives working Ernest's case never stopped pushing though. They kept reaching out to the community, kept asking people to do the right thing, because they knew that somewhere out there somebody knows something that could bring his killers to justice. So we're left here with all these questions that might never get answered. Were those men watching Ernest's live stream, did they see him showing money or weed and decide he was an easy target, or was this just random violence? Wrong place, wrong time. Did they know about his parties beforehand? Had they been watching his social media, planning this, or did they just happen to be in that neighborhood looking for trouble? The truth is, we may never know, and that's the hardest part for everyone who loved Ernest. Not just that he's gone, but that the people who took him might never be held accountable. But here's what we do know, and this is what matters most. Ernest Wilson III was more than the way he died. He was a young man with dreams, with plans, with people who loved him deeply. He had this gift for bringing people together, for creating joy in dark times. During one of the most isolated periods in modern history, Ernest found a way to connect people. His live streams, his game nights, his infectious personality, that was his legacy. He reminded folks that even when the world feels like it's falling apart, we still need each other. His death showed us something else too, how quickly everything can change, how violence can shatter the most innocent moments. 1 second he's counting to 30, playing a simple game with his friends. The next second he's gone. But the people who knew Ernest, they carry his memory forward. They remember the laughter, the loyalty, the way he made everyone feel welcome. That's the Ernest they want the world to know. And maybe that's the lesson here. In a world that can be cruel and unpredictable, we need more people like Ernest, people who choose joy over fear, connection over isolation, love over hate. His story didn't end the way it should have. Justice is still waiting, but his impact, that lives on in everyone whose life he touched. What's one thing this case taught you that you didn't know before? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Shadowed Crimes TV. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We bring you true crime stories daily, cases you know and ones you don't. Stay with us as we shine a light on shadowed stories that need to be heard, because every victim deserves to have their story told. And remember, if you have any information about Ernest Wilson's murder, please contact Baltimore Police or Metro Crime Stoppers. His family is still waiting for answers.